Now that we've covered SQL injection, let's go over to PHP code injection. For this, we'll be using bbox, so make sure that's up and running. Go to the page here. Log in, bbug, choose your bug. I'm going to choose PHP code injection. Click hack. Alright, so we get a test page. It says reflecting back your message. It has a little link here, so let's click that. Message equals test. So it's reflecting this output here. So whatever you put here is going to be reflected to the page. See? Hi, reflected to the page. So it says it is vulnerable to PHP code injection, so let's inject some PHP code. PHP info, 2 brackets, there we go. So we've executed PHP code, and it is showing us the output here on the page. Now that we know that it's vulnerable to code injection, let's try chaining an operating system command to gather some system information. So I'm going to enter this command here. So system, we're just going to run a cat command to concatenate the proc version file. Good. So we see here, this target system is running Ubuntu Linux. It says the version right here. Very good. Let's try another one. Let's see if we can enumerate further. I'm going to grep the etc password file, and 5 lines after the first detection of the string 1001, which is the first user created in Linux environments, now that we know that the system is running Linux. Good. So I have here all of the users that are not standard service users. These are the users that were created. You have Neo, Alice, Thor, and so on. Just run a couple more commands here. Let's see. The host name. Host name is bbox. And by the way, this test is just the first reflected text here. It doesn't pertain to the system command. And who am I? This is the current user. It's www-data. That's the privileges of the account related to whatever is executing this PHP code. Oops. And there's the working directory, var ww bwap. Good. So feel free to pause and continue playing with this lab. Can you figure out a way to gain an interactive shell using this vulnerability? Moving on to the next part, let's go to server-side include, or SSI injection. SSIs are directives present on web applications used to feed an HTML page with dynamic contents. They are similar to CGIs, except that SSIs are used to execute some actions before the current page is loaded or while the page is being visualized. In order to do so, the web server analyzes SSI before supplying the page to the user. Choose your bug, down to SSI injection, hack. Alright, so this allows us to enter a first and last name. So let's see, just test, see what happens. Hello, test, then their IP address. Okay, so let's see if we can inject some basic system commands into these web forms. This is just running the command hostname, and this is running the command pwd. Good. So we have the results here of hostname, and here's the results of print working directory. Let's go back. Now let's try something a bit more interesting. Let's upload a PHP web shell so we can leverage it to gain a fully interactive shell. Let's go to a terminal. Now what I'm going to do here is copy php-backdoor.php to the web root. There it is. Actually, I'm going to have to rename that because when we upload it to Bbox, it needs to be in the form of a text file. So let's take a look at that. Just going to copy this. php-backdoor.php.text. So that's the file we're going to be uploading to Bbox. Just to make sure, let's see if Apache is running. Good. If it's not running, you're going to have to type service apache 2 start. Let's take a quick look at what this command does. We're going to execute a wget to the Kali Linux box. This is my IP for Kali Linux. And here is the file that I have in webroot. So let's post that into here. Last name of test. All right. So let's see if that worked. We're going to go to that location on BWAP. There we go. So now we have a PHP shell. Let's leverage this to get a fully interactive shell. To do this, first let's go to a terminal, start up netcat, nc-nlvp, give it a port of 4444. Now I'm going to open up LeafPad, give you a better view of what this command is doing. We have a Python command to get a reverse shell from Bbox. So what it's going to do is basically connect back from Bbox to Kali Linux with a shell. Here it is. So let's execute that. We're executing that Python command here in our shell that we just established. Good. So we have received a connection from Bbox to the netcat. But as you see here, can't access TTY. We do not have a fully interactive shell. It's a limited shell. So we can use Python again here to spawn a TTY shell. We are using Python to spawn a bin bash. There we go. So let's take a look at what privileges we have. Same as we saw earlier when we were enumerating. This is the user, www-data. And yep, that's the user. So this looks good, but we have limited privileges. I'm going to let you go ahead and try to escalate privileges on your own from this web shell to root. If you run into any issues, follow the offensive security mantra, try harder. If you can't figure it out, don't worry. I'll be covering it in subsequent labs.